how we learn competencies and skills and develop habits. Winston Churchill said, develop only the habits you're willing should control your life because they will. It starts with awareness. We become aware. Look, we used to call this attitude, and we found out and we realized there was an implication that somehow people had to have the right attitude, whatever that means, you know. And I promise you, I've done a lot of Dale Carnegie programs within organizations where people at first were not all that enthused to be there. You know, they saw that it wasn't their choice and so on. And so I went after not trying to change their attitude, but to help their awareness in where do I need to improve? And what improvements are really desirable for me? What do I really want in terms of my performance improvement? Show me a better way. I had one person, they looked a little negative, but I'm a skeptic myself, so I don't really get too excited about that. But I said, look, if we ask you to try something and it doesn't violate your moral principles, would you at least give it a try and tell us what happened when you did? He said, yeah, I've taken all these courses, you know, none of them really seem to work much. And he said, I'll do it. You ask me to do something, I'll make a commitment to try it, and I'll come back and I'll be open with you and I'll tell you, well, it was great. That's all we needed for him. That's all he needed to begin. A solid awareness. Where do I need to improve? Show me how and give me a shot at it. The next step is knowledge. What about the fundamentals, the principles, the concepts, you know? And the Dale Carnegie history is to move as quickly as possible through the knowledge phase so that you have enough knowledge that we can get to practicing it. And if you've gone to a one-day or two-day seminar, sometimes I've been to some that have been, and most people say that, how do I remember everything? How do I put everything into play? And as Glenn Weir said, I need coaching. So the trap is in the knowledge area, and that is that we stay with knowledge. Remember we said 90 to 95% of the training we take is knowledge-based, and people are testing our knowledge. But how many here know how to be better organized? And you have maybe 5 or 6 principles on how to be better organized. And if you were really honest with yourself, I'm not using some of the stuff that I already know. Then why would we give you some more stuff that you might not use, you know? Our point is, if it's about what you want, and it's the skills you want to develop, we'll give you some boiled-down principles, bite-sized pieces, quick information, and then we'll move quickly into practice with the guidance of a coach. If you were in one of our live preview meetings, we're going to invite you to one, and what you'll see is you'll see a participant, picked at random, and they go out of the room with one of our coaches, they memorize 26 items that they hadn't seen before, they come in and they perform at a marvelous level. So the goal is not for our facilitators, our instructors to prove to you how good they are, but to show you how they can coach people. And it doesn't matter who we pick from the crowd. They all come back and they perform at a high level. So it's important that you realize that the fundamentals you're working on are solid. They make sense. They're practical. Then you practice them under coaching. I'm a little nervous about going to a doctor for a couple of reasons, and we have lots of clients in the medical field and so on, and I have respect for doctors. The only thing is their license is to practice medicine, and I don't want them practicing on me, you know. So we really need a place where we can go to practice our skills, where there's no threat of losing a client, there's no threat of turning off my boss, there's no threat of losing a good friend, you know. We need to practice. My granddad was 92 when he died. He lived up in Hearst, Ontario. It was cold and everything, and he had a little garden, and in the springtime he would try to protect his plants under a little greenhouse because he was protecting them from the elements, not forever, only during a time when they were nurturing the roots. And then when the climate changed and when the plants were stronger, he planted them out in the garden, and most of them survived. And we see a Dale Carnegie course as a place for you to go to practice the skills that you need and to practice them in the right kind of environment. And look, we're not all touchy-feely, you know. We give strong coaching, but we come from a constructive viewpoint. So if we point something out to you, it's on behalf of the goal you told us you wanted to accomplish. If you don't tell us, our business coaches like Kevin and myself, what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to accomplish within your organization, then our coaching is only advice based on what we think you should be doing. And that's weak, inappropriate. Tell us what the outcome is. We'll give you coaching that's relevant to help you with the outcome. And then through continuous application and reinforcement, then it becomes a habit. And that's why people like Warren Buffett and so on talk about, I took Dale Carnegie years ago and so on, and it really stuck. So that's what makes it stick. And what we've done today is we've speeded it up, we've made it in bite-sized pieces, we've tightened it up, and it's amazing today that in my view anyway, doing this for quite a number of years, our participants are able to go faster, tighter, they're more focused, they have goals, they have commitments, they're great fun to work with, and we have fun in the process at the same time. So that's the methodology. And one of the things about listening, and we don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but our connection to listening is to not to listen to understand. I can't figure myself out most of the time, so I don't know how I'm going to figure you out, but I can connect. And I can connect through listening. And I can ask myself, what's important to you? What's important to this person? We tell people in our Dale Carnegie program, the only question we don't want you to ask is, hey, Kevin, what's important to you? Don't ask that question. But listen to the conversation, engage in dialogue, and I promise you what's important to that person will be loud and clear. So we call that listening to connect, in contrast to listening to gain information.